Hi friends, this is Selvajang here. Welcome to my networking channel. Hope all are doing good and safe. And today let us discuss about BGP synchronization rule. So the synchronization rule states that do not advertise a route learned by an IBGP to an EBGP neighbor unless that route should be advertised or backed up by an internal routing protocol, that is OSPF, or else we have to turn off the synchronization and we need to run a full mesh IBGP neighbor relationship on all routers, right? So that is the rule it states. So now let us go to the individual router and let us configure the BGP neighbor relationship. And I'm going to show how the synchronization rule works. So go to router R1, go to the configuration mode, and now let us configure the individual BGP neighbor relationship. Neighbor is 12.2, right? So go to router BGP1 and the neighbor is 192.168.12.2 and the remote AS is 2, right? Similarly, let us advertise the prefix 1.1.1.0 and the mask is 255.255.255.0 and let us turn off the synchronization rule, no synchronization. So we are done with the router R1 configuration and now let us go to R2. So R2 I am going to configure the BGP neighbor relationship. There's one EBGP neighbor and one IBGP neighbor, right? Go to R2 and router BGP2, right? That is an autonomous term number and neighbor is 192.168.12.1 and the remote AS is 1, right? Similarly, configure the IBGP neighbor, that is 23.2, 192.168.23.2 and the remote AS is 2, right? Yeah. And now what we can do, I'm going to advertise the prefix. Prefix is network 2.2.0 and the mask is 255.255.255.0 and also let us advertise the directly connected interface, that is 12.2 and 23.1. So network 192.168.12.0 mask is 255.255.255.0. Similarly 23, right? So it has two directly connected interfaces 23 and let us turn off the synchronization rule. And similarly, then I need to go to R3, right? So now let us go to R3 and R3 has two neighbors, one IBGP neighbor and another one is EBGP neighbor, right? So go to auto router BGP2 and the neighbor is 192.168.23.1 and the remote AS is 2. Similarly 34.2, right? 34.2 and the remote AS is 3, right? 3, yeah. So now let us advertise the prefix, that is 3.3.3.0 mask is 255.255.255.0 and let us configure the directly connected interface, that is 23 and 34, right? That is 192.168.23.0 and another one is 34.0, that is the directly connected interface dot 34.0, right? So we are under the, now we can turn off the synchronization rule. So this also I have done and now let us go to R4 and configure the BGP neighbor relationship. So R4 configuration mode router BGP3 and the neighbor command is 34.1, right? So 192.168.34.1 and the remote AS is 2, right? Remote AS is 2 and similarly let us advertise the directly connected interface 192.168.34.0 and the mask is 255.255.255.0. So also now I have to connect the advertise the directly connected interfaces, right? So that is 4.4.4.0 and the mask is 255.255.255.0. So we have configured the directly connected interfaces and now I'm going to check the BGP neighbor relationship. So it is showing the second rule. So I will turn off the synchronization. So here also you turn off, right? So configuration mode router BGP3 and turn off the synchronization. So turn off the synchronization and run a full mesh IBGP neighbor relationship, right? So you turn off the synchronization on all the routers and I run the full mesh IBGP neighbor relationship. Now let us see the BGP neighbor relationship and the routing table. Show IP BGP all summary. So we are seeing the neighbor relationship it has established and show IP BGP all summary. So it has one IBGP neighbor and an EBGP neighbor, right? So both the neighbors I'm seeing, go to R3 and show IP BGP all summary. So I'm seeing the IBGP and an EBGP neighbor. Similarly, go to R4 and check the neighbor relationship. Show IP BGP all summary. So we are able to see the neighbor relationship it is established. So now let us see the routing table. So you have to see all the routes. R1 should receive all the prefix from R4, that is and also R4 should receive the prefix 1.1.1 from R1. So now let us check the BGP routing table. Show IP BGP. So it is working fine. So it is receiving all the prefixes, right? R4 is that is R4 is receiving all the prefixes including 11, 22 and 33 and 44, right? All the prefixes and the directly connected interfaces, and it is showing as the valid and the best route. So our synchronization rule is working. Similarly, go to R1 and check the prefix. Show IP BGP. So R1 also should receive the R4 prefix plus R2 and R3. So it is receiving all the prefixes and it is showing as a valid and the best route in the BGP routing table, right? So similarly, go to R2 and check the show IP BGP. Yeah, so it is working fine. So all the routes are receiving in all the BGP routing table, right? So it is routing fine. So now let us ping the indirectly connected interface. That is, I'm going to ping the 4.4.4. Yeah, it is receiving on R4 ping the R1 interface, that is 1.1.1. So the BGP synchronization rule is working fine. So now what I'm going to do, I am turn on all the synchronization. If initially it is turned off, right? So if the synchronization is turned on, I would need to back up by an internal routing protocol. That means I have to advertise all these routes by an internal routing protocol, that is OSPF. So now let us turn off the synchronization, turn on the synchronization, go to configuration mode and let us turn on the synchronization. So synchronization is turned on, and similarly go to R2 and turn on the synchronization. So go to the corresponding router BGP and synchronization rule is turned on. Similarly go to R3 and this is also BGP2, right? So save it and go to R4 and turn on the synchronization. So if the synchronization is turned on, what is the rule states that if the synchronization is turned on, it should be backed up by an internal routing protocol. So before advertising any route to an external BGP neighbor, so it should be backed up by an internal routing protocol. So I have turned on the synchronization. So after doing any changes, I'm going to do a soft reset of BGP neighbor. There is a clear BGP. So what it does, I am just resetting the BGP neighbor through a soft reset, right? So clear IP BGP, this is a neighbor. 12.2 is a neighbor, soft in and out. And similarly go to R2 and do a soft reset. So the soft reset is nothing but it will clear all the BGP neighbors, right? So it is not going to kill the BGP session, but it will request for the fresh update. So from R2 I'm just resetting 12.1 and the 23.2, right? These are the neighbor I'm resetting. Similarly go to R3 and do a reset. Clear BGP. So what it does, it is clearing again the BGP, the neighbor I'm doing, right? 23.1, 23.1 and 34.2 inbound and outbound. I'm just both the traffic I'm just clearing. And similarly go to R4 and clear the BGP. So the outside thing I'm just clearing. So now let us see what it happened after turning on the synchronization. Since I'm not backed up by internal routing protocol, let us see the routes. Show IP BGP. So it will take some time to advertise the routes. Show. Yeah. So after turning on this, what it does actually, right? So it will not receive the prefix of 111, right? Because it should be backed up by an internal routing protocol. So what happened? There will not be any communication between R2 and R3. And obviously this R4 will not receive the prefix as 1.1. And similarly R1 will not receive the prefix because there will be not proper communication because the synchronization is on, and also it should be backed up by an internal routing protocol. So I am not backed up by the internal routing protocol OSPF. So what it does, right? We are not able to see the routes from R1 prefix, right? So R1 network is 1.1.1, we are not receiving. And similarly in R1 also, let us see in R2, show IP BGP. So R2 also will not have any R3 routes. Yeah. See, you are able to see, right, R3 it is not receiving any even R2 routes. It's not showing as a valid and the best route, right? So that means because the synchronization is turned on, I need to back up by an internal routing protocol. So if it is not backed up by an internal routing protocol like OSP, what happened? We will not see the routes in a prefix table. That is a BGP table. Similarly, let us go to R1. So you're able to see, right, the R4 is not receiving any prefix from 1.1.1 because of the synchronization rule is turned on and I am not backed up by an internal routing protocol, right? You are able to see. Let us see R2 also. Because after clearing the BGP, it will take some time to pop up. Let us see. So what we can do, if you want, we can do a hard reset, clear IP, BGP. So this is a hard reset, will kill all the BGP neighbor relationship. Let us do a hard reset. It will break all the BGP session and it will do a hard reset. So clear IP, BGP, star. So I've done a reset. Then what happened? It will establish the neighbor relationship, and after that it will advertise the prefix because I want to show after the synchronization rule is turned on. So it is not advertising the prefix, right? That is the thing I want to show you. So now let us check the BGP neighbor relationship. Show IP BGP. That is a neighbor relationship. Let us see. So we are seeing the neighbor relationship established. Then afterwards, we'll check the prefix or getting advertised or not. Show IP BGP. So now let us check in R2. Show IP BGP. Yeah, now this show IP BGP. See, now we are able to see, right, only we are seeing 1.1 prefix and 2.2 prefix, but we are not receiving the prefix from R4. Similarly, go to R4 and check show IP BGP. So it is not receiving the prefix, right? It is receiving only 3.3 and 4.4 and it is not receiving 1.1, right? So because it is not backed up by an internal routing protocol and the synchronization is turned on. So how we can avoid such scenario? If the synchronization is turned on, we need to back up by an internal routing protocol. So now let us quickly go and configure the internal routing protocol. So this is the thing I have done. 192 on state 12.0 and so I configure and let us go to R2 and quickly configure the advertised by the internal routing protocol. And similarly go to R3. So after doing this, what happened immediately? You can see all the neighbors up actually, and we are able to see all the advertised routes. So now I have done this, right? So now what we can see, let us see. Let us do a show IP routes since I have advertised by an internal routing protocol. So let us see now we're able to see all the routes, right? We're able to see 1.1 prefix, 2.2 prefix and 3.3 prefix. We are able to see and we are able to see all the things. Ping 4.4.4 and we are able to receive similarly ping 1.1.1.1. So that is the synchronization tool, right? So we should not advertise any route to an external driver unless that is advertised by an internal routing protocol if the synchronization is turned on, right? So if it is turned on, we have to back up by an internal routing protocol. But in case if it is turned off, right, we can turn off the synchronization and we have to run a full mesh IBGP neighbor relationship. So this is how synchronization works. I hope you understood. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe me for more videos. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.